When you feel empty inside, psychology often gives you labels: lazy, unmotivated, or procrastinator. But Carl Jung would never call you lazy because to him, emptiness isn't a problem. The thing is, modern psychology and society at large rushes to judge. If you lie in bed for hours, you're told you're wasting your life. If you can't force yourself into productivity, you're accused of procrastination. Even boredom has become a sin in today's culture. And because of these labels, we end up turning against ourselves at the exact moment when we most need compassion. But here's what nobody tells you. Emptiness is not failure. So, let's open this up. Because your energy is not gone. It's hiding in a place you haven't yet looked. First, let's address a misconception. Doing nothing doesn't exist. Even when you collapse on the couch and stare at the ceiling, your psyche is doing something. It might be restoring. It might be redirecting. It might even be incubating a future breakthrough. Think about it. Nature doesn't run at full speed all year. There are winters. There are pauses. Even the trees look empty, but they're not dead. Their energy is retreating inward, gathering strength for spring. And the same is happening to you when you feel drained. Your psyche is not sabotaging you. It's protecting you from forcing energy into the wrong places. The very sensation of "I can't do this" may be the exact truth you need to hear. This isn't the path your energy wants to go. So, the first step is counterintuitive. Stop fighting it. Instead of declaring war on your exhaustion, talk to it. Jung would invite you into dialogue with the shadow, the parts of you that show up in ways you don't like but are full of meaning. Ask your tiredness. What are you trying to protect me from? What dream or need have I ignored? If you could speak in words, what would you want me to hear? This is not about fixing. It's about listening. Because in Jung's view, every symptom holds a secret. When you allow yourself to rest without shame, your psyche starts to reveal what it's been hiding. And rest itself becomes productive. You restore your nervous system. You reconnect to your inner rhythm, and you gain back the energy that constant self-judgment steals from you. Jung's second way of finding energy is to emphasize contradictions. It means allowing two opposite truths to coexist without forcing one to win. You might feel, "I want to create something meaningful," and at the same time, "I have zero motivation to get up." Normally we label that as broken, inconsistent, even weak. But Jung said this tension is not the problem. It's the birthplace of transformation. Your psyche works like a battery. Energy arises between positive and negative poles. If you deny one side, the charge disappears. But when you hold both, something sparks. Think of someone who desperately wants intimacy yet fears being vulnerable. They might call themselves confused or self-sabotaging. But if they can sit with both desires, the hunger for closeness and the fear of exposure, something new is born. Maybe it's a more honest kind of intimacy, one where fear is acknowledged and included rather than hidden. In the same way, your lack of energy might be holding a contradiction. I long to grow, but I fear leaving the familiar. I want freedom, but I'm afraid of losing safety. I crave expression, but I dread judgment. Jung would say, don't collapse into one side too soon. Don't force yourself to pick. Let the paradox live inside you. Because only when both are honored does a third solution appear. Something beyond either or. Energy is blocked when we try to suppress one pole of our inner life. We waste power fighting ourselves. But when we let both sides breathe, the psyche begins to flow again. Suddenly, you may feel a creative idea bubbling up or a new direction that didn't exist before. It's like standing at the crossing of two rivers. If you block one stream, you starve the flow. But if you allow both, they merge into something larger and stronger. That merging is the very moment new energy is born. Jung's third step is facing death. Symbolically, he saw that a huge part of human exhaustion comes from avoiding the biggest questions of life: mortality, meaning, and the unknown. Most of us live as if life is endless, pushing away the awareness that one day it will all end. And because of that denial, our days lose their intensity. He believed that when we avoid death, we avoid life itself. But when we dare to face it, not in a morbid or depressive way, but as a teacher, we suddenly reawaken our energy. Think about it. The moment you remember your time here is limited, ordinary things start to glow again. The hug of a loved one, the taste of a meal, even a walk outside, it all feels precious. Awareness of impermanence transforms exhaustion into urgency and emptiness into gratitude. Jung once said that midlife crises often come from realizing the first half of life is over. That's why people lose energy. They're forced to confront the reality of time. But instead of spiraling, Jung encouraged us to let that confrontation bring new vitality. Because when you know your days are numbered, you stop wasting them. Energy returns when life regains meaning. And meaning is impossible without death in the background. So if you feel drained, instead of distracting yourself endlessly, try sitting with the question, if today were one of my last, what would I want it to mean? That single thought can recharge more than a dozen cups of coffee. And now we come to what Jung saw as the most damaging source of emptiness, living a life that isn't really yours. He once wrote, "The most damaging thing in the life of a child is the unlived life of the parent." What he meant is this. If your parents or society or culture couldn't live their own truth, they unconsciously push you to live it for them. You become an actor in someone else's unfinished play. And here's the brutal truth. When you live according to someone else's expectations, whether it's a career path, a role, or even a relationship that doesn't fit your soul, your psyche withholds energy, not out of cruelty, but because it knows the truth. Real vitality can't flow into a false identity. That's why so many people say, "I'm exhausted, and I don't know why." They think it's about sleep or diet or discipline. But on a deeper level, they're drained because they're carrying a life that isn't theirs. Even if you can't walk away from responsibilities today, you can begin with honesty. Ask yourself, where am I pretending? Whose voice am I obeying when I make this choice? What part of me is starving because I keep betraying it for approval? And here's the paradox. Even if you lack the energy to do the most basic things, you might suddenly find energy returning the moment you allow yourself to stop lying about what you truly want. Authenticity has a strange way of feeding the soul. So next time you feel drained, instead of asking what's wrong with me, ask what truth is my psyche asking me to hear. Because the emptiness isn't empty at all. It's full of meaning if you dare to listen. Stay with these questions. Let them guide you. And if this message resonates, share it with someone who might need to hear it today. And tell me in the comments which of Jung's 4 ways speaks to you most right now. Is it resting without shame, holding contradictions, facing death, or reclaiming your true self? And if you found value here, subscribe to Fractal Wisdom for more psychology and deep explorations of the human soul. Because the answers aren't found in fixing yourself, but in finally listening to yourself.